Hello, guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Skills and Abilities. Today, we're going to be going over another one of the assassin skills because, well, assassin's the only class that I have left. If you guys aren't aware of that, I've pretty much finished all the other classes. And this one is Claw Mastery. Now, Claw Mastery might seem like a simple one, but it's not really. And we need to go over it really quickly and talk about this. So first off, I mean, this is an obvious thing. If you are using Claw Mastery, you have to be using claws. It does not work for non-claws. You don't have to be using two claws. You can be using one claw and a shield, but you do have to be using a claw. All right, this is very important. Number two is that it does have Deadly Strike attached to it, or rather Critical Strike. Critical Strike is a separate mechanic other than Deadly Strike. However, the two are still compatible with each other in a different way. So they do not actually add up together. Critical Strike and Deadly Strike will not just simply add directly to each other. So if you're using, say, Myrmidon Greaves that have Deadly Strike on them, so they have 15% Deadly Strike, and you put on your Myrmidon Greaves onto your character, the Myrmidon Greaves will not add the 15% to your 22% that is on your Claw Mastery. Instead, what it does is it simply acts as another roll for the same effect. Since they are both double damage, double physical damage, they will basically both roll at the same time, which basically means that you're going to get a 22% chance first and then a 15% chance after. Now, this does actually increase the chance that you will have a successful Deadly Strike encounter. So for instance, let's say I were to have 50% critical strike and 50% deadly strike at the same time. The 50% critical strike will give me a 50% chance to get our critical strike. If it fails, it will then roll the deadly strike at another 50% chance, which gives me a 50% chance at a deadly strike, for a total percent chance of about 75%. This means that you have about a 75% chance of actually getting double damage. Despite the fact that the two numbers actually don't add directly together, they still function on top of each other, one rolling and then the other. Think about it like Monopoly, and if you had two sets of dice, right? And then you could roll one set of dice, and then you could roll the other set of dice, and whichever roll is the better roll, you could choose the better roll out of the two, right? So if critical strike succeeds, then you're obviously going to choose the critical strike roll. If the deadly strike roll succeeds, then you're obviously going to choose the deadly strike roll. However, if the critical strike roll succeeds, then the deadly strike doesn't roll, because obviously it's already succeeded. It doesn't need to succeed twice. On top of this, Claw Mastery also gives a huge bonus to attack rating. Now, it's important that we talk about this huge bonus to attack rating because it does actually apply to your claw attacks. Any claw attack that you have, including like Fists of Fire, Claws of Thunder, Blades of Ice, etc., etc., etc. What it does not apply to, however, is Blade Fury. I don't know exactly why Claw's Mastery, the Claw Mastery AR does not actually apply to Blade Fury, but despite the fact that it shows that it does not. This is a bug that's been in the game for a long time, and if you are building a Blade Fury Sin, it is important to remember that the attack rating bonus on Claw Mastery does not actually apply to your Blade Fury, and it does make Claw Mastery a less interesting option when it comes to Blade Fury. In my opinion, there's a lot of good items for Blade Fury, and the Claw really isn't like the super best one, especially since AR is such a big deal with this particular class. Now, you also get a bonus damage of 139%, as you see here, and the damage bonus is not like a really big number. It's not what you think it is. It's what's considered off-weapon ED. Off-weapon ED is a form of damage increase that is only physical, first off. It only increases physical damage. And on top of that, it is the same as something that you would see on like a Fortitude. So you notice how Fortitude has 300% enhanced damage on it. So how this works is it actually adds together. So all off-weapon ED sources actually just add together to affect your physical damage. So, for instance, in this case, I'm running Claw Mastery, which has 139%, and if I were to put on Fortitude, I would get another 300% on top of that. Now, of course, I lost some plus to skills by taking that off, but all of that just simply adds together to equal my total amount of enhanced weapon damage. Now, the enhanced weapon damage does actually apply to Blade Fury. As you can see here, I have 768 damage right now with Blade Fury. And if I throw Fortitude on, you notice it goes up to 1,107. And this is because the enhanced weapon damage does actually apply to Blade Fury, and it's pretty powerful. That 300% enhanced ED from Fortitude is massive in terms of Blade Fury, and having the Claw Mastery definitely is nice too, but there are other ways that you can get more damage besides Claw Mastery. All in all, Claw Mastery is one of those things that I have found to be a little lackluster in most situations. For instance, the assassin doesn't really have a huge amount of physical damage. When you look at her traps, she has basically no traps in here except for Blade Fury that would benefit from the Claw Mastery. Blade Sentinel and Blade Shield, I don't really know if they actually benefit from the physical increase in damage on Claw Mastery, but I know for a fact that Blade Fury does not benefit from the attack rating, but it does benefit from the actual physical. But we have physical, 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 right? And we look over on the martial arts tree, we've got fire, lightning, ice, fire, lightning, ice. This one is sort of physical, I guess. And then we have this one, which is physical, right? So we've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 physical attacks, right? And then the finishers themselves are not always physical, so Dragon Tail is mostly fire, although it does do physical damage as well, which is a weird thing. Dragon Flight isn't really one that you use for damage. Dragon Claw is physical, and then Dragon Talon is physical. So we have a limited physical damage, and we have a skill that gives us physical damage. So Claw Mastery tends to be one of those abilities that a lot of people will just 1-point wonder and not actually stack points into. There's very few builds that you actually would want to max Claw Mastery for. And it really depends on whether or not you're even utilizing a claw, because some assassin builds don't even utilize claws. There are other items in the game, like the Death Etten Axe, which is absolutely amazing for, say, a Blade Fury Sin. There is other ways that you can build kick sins and things like that that don't involve using claws. And it depends on what kind of setup you're going for, whether or not you're actually going to stack points into Claw Mastery at all. This is one of those things that it's going to be unique to each individual build, but for the most part, I tend to only 1-point wonder it and move on. And it really just comes down to the fact that the off-weapon ED isn't really that amazing. I can get Deadly Strike from tons of various items throughout the game, and kind of overshadow that 22% critical strike that comes from the ability. And then on top of that, the attack rating doesn't even apply sometimes to specific skills, despite the fact that it says it does. And attack rating percentage, honestly, is not even really all that amazing in most situations. Attack rating percentage is less useful, in my opinion, than attack rating flat. And that's because everything applies attack rating to abilities. Everything has like a bonus attack rating percentage on it. And yes, you can stack that bonus attack rating percentage, but when it comes down to the meat and potatoes of what you actually need, you need raw numbers of attack rating. You need things like this, which give you 20 attack rating flat and actually add large amounts of attack rating to your character, because that 20 gets multiplied by all the percentages. And you may find that having maxed Claw Mastery doesn't really give you the attack rating that you want. And especially with abilities like Blade Fury, where the attack rating doesn't even work, you might be better off just utilizing a non-claw type weapon. All in all, though, Claw Mastery is just one of those basic abilities. It's a level 1 ability. You have to get it to move toward any of the other skills in this tree. If you want a burst of speed, you're going to have to get Claw Mastery. If you want Venom, you got to get Claw Mastery. If you want Shadow Warrior, you got to get Claw Mastery. The only ones that don't require Claw Mastery are Mind Blast, Cloak of Shadows, and Psychic Hammer. But you're going to have to put at least 1 point into it no matter what. So as always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos, even when we're just talking about Claw Mastery and the intricacies of a simple skill like this. And as always, keep watching.